Hello everyone, welcome back. This is your full body flexibility practice. I am using a few props today. So if you've got something to be cushions for your knees, I'm going to use 2 hand towels. I'm also going to use a strap to make my arms a little bit longer. And then of course my bolster throughout the class just a little bit if you like to lay on something. But find a little bit of space to move, maybe a furry friend or two, and let's get started. So thank you for being here with me. We're going to start laying down. If you do have something to make your arms longer today, just have it close by so you don't have to get up and go get it. And then if you're going to lay on top of something, you could do that too. But we will be laying down to start. Bringing your arms out a little wider, let your palms face up. And then you can do what you'd like with your legs, but I'm going to move mine a few times. So if you want to follow along with me, you can. So maybe you will start with your knees bent, your feet planted. Maybe you'll scoot your heels just a little bit closer towards your hips. And you can have your feet, your knees as wide as feels good here. Letting your eyes close. And just start to feel your breath. Relaxing through your shoulders and your chest. Just feel the gentle rise and fall of your belly with each breath. And before you really start to settle in, you might move your legs. You might heel toe your feet out a little bit wider and then let the knees kind of tip towards one another. You might even turn your big toes. Maybe they're pointing towards one another a little bit more. And if you did move, just come right back. Notice your breath again. Relax your shoulders, your chest. Just continue to slow down your day. Maybe we could move our legs one more time. You can bring your feet together, let your knees fall out wide, making that diamond shape with your legs if you like to do that. If you have room to do that. Losing access to my mat. But same thing. If you've moved, relax again. Close your eyes if they opened and just notice your breath. Let your body soften, especially in any areas of your body where you're feeling some extra love, depending on what position you are laying in. And we're only gonna stay here for maybe 3 more full breaths. And if you'd like to breathe a little deeper now, take a slow, deep inhale. Let it go. Do that again. Deep breath in and out. One more. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. So you guys, you can start to maybe wiggle your fingers, maybe wiggle your toes. You have your knees out wide in that diamond shape. Start to bring them back together so that your feet are planted on your mat. And if you're laying on a pillow of some kind, we'll take it out, slide it out from under you so that you can lay flat on your back. And we will find our straps as well. So come on to your back and take a moment to maybe rock your knees side to side, or you can be still. Give your low back a gentle massage. And then grabbing your strap if you don't already have it in your hands, or maybe it's your hand towel rolled up a little bit. You also don't have to use anything. You can just lift your leg up, hold on to your leg somewhere. But if you have something to place right on the ball of your foot, right beneath your toes, send your right leg up. Let's do the right leg first. I almost forgot to say that. Right leg lifted, gently sending your heel up to the sky or the ceiling above you. Feel the nice stretch through the back of the leg. If you want extra, you can extend your left leg out long too. And then just take a moment to notice what you feel through your legs. And we're gonna be moving our right leg a little bit if you'd like to join me. You can start by letting your foot tip out to the right side just a little bit. Maybe to the edge of your mat, towards the right shoulder, but just a little tip out to the side. Continue to keep your heel pointing up, your toes pointing towards the top of your mat. And then you might just start to let your leg kind of float back to center. And then over towards your left, maybe the edge of your mat, maybe your left shoulder, maybe not even that far. Just a little movement. Encourage your low back down. Send your heel up. Point your toes towards the top of your mat. And then slowly let your foot come back through center. Keep going. Back over to the right side. You can go a little bit this time. You could go further. You could go as far as your leg wants to go. You want to hold on to your strap or your towel with just your right hand. Just to help weigh down the left side of your body, you can add that. Change up the grip, but still kind of flexing the foot, pointing the toes towards the top of the mat, letting the heel. Maybe it's pointing up to the side now. Maybe it's still pointing up above you, feeling the inner leg even more. And then if you have your leg off to the right side, any amount, slowly start to float your leg back up. You might start to grab for your towel or your strap with your left hand. You can continue to let your leg go to the left side this time. Maybe just a little in line with the shoulder, maybe a little further, or maybe you start to turn the hips. Lift the right hip and let your leg fall over to the left side as much as it wants to. Finding more of a twist here if you're rotating the hips. If you're holding onto your strap with just your left hand this time, your right arm could reach out wide just to weigh down. Your right shoulder, stop you from tipping over, but just one more breath. And then you can use an inhale to slowly lift your leg back up. Bring everything back to center. Hold on to your leg or your strap. Send your heel up. Point your toes down. And then bend your knee. Take your strap off your foot if you're using something. Bend both of your legs. Plant both of your feet. Shake it out a little if you'd like, or just be still for a moment. We will be switching sides. Whenever you are ready to lift your left leg, the left foot. Maybe you're holding on to the back of your leg. Maybe you have something right on the ball of the foot, right beneath your toes. So it's helping you keep your foot flexed. Find that sweet spot. How does your left leg feel compared to the right side? The left leg is always so much more sensational, I'll say, tighter than the right side. If you want that little extra though, you can send your right leg out long, or you can keep that leg bent. And then if you do want to start to move your left leg, we'll let it tip out to the side again, just a little. Maybe in line with the left shoulder, maybe a little further than that. But keep encouraging your heel up, keep flexing that foot. And then you're slowly going to bring your leg back right up above you. And you could keep going towards the right side, but encourage your low back down. Keep that left hip connected for this first movement to the right. Relaxing through the body. Just keeping the ankle, the leg a little bit active. You can start to float the leg back through center. And then maybe you'll keep going out to the left again, just like you did before. Or if you want to go further, maybe you'll hold on with just the left hand this time. See how close to the floor your leg wants to get. Still gentle as you encourage your toes up towards the top of your mat. Feel your inner leg, your hip. And then slowly lift your leg right back up. No rush. And maybe it will keep going. Maybe you'll switch hands. Hold on to your leg or strap with the right hand now. And this time, if you do want to lift the left hip up, add more of a twist. You can go further and further, but if it feels good. Still encouraging the toes up. Weighing down that left shoulder if you're twisting. And then letting another inhale. When you're ready, bring your leg back up. Send your heel up again. Grab your leg, your strap with both hands. And then release. Bend your knee. Take your strap off. You can drop your strap to the side, bending your knees, planting your feet, maybe taking a couple rocks of the knees side to side. Give your low back a nice massage. And then we are going to roll onto our left side and going to come up onto our forearm. So a few options here, because I know some of us have pillows that we like to use. So if you have a pillow, you could add it in. But if you do not have a pillow, that's completely fine as well. We're all going to be on our left side, with our legs bent to start, and then on the left forearm. If you've got a pillow that you could slide just above the hip, so it's underneath your side, you can kind of lay on that pillow and relax a little bit more through the upper body. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you want to be on the forearm. So take a second to decide if you're going to lay on top of something. And then we're going to move our legs a little bit. So you can have your knees bent. Maybe your knees are coming straight out in front in line with your hips. Maybe your top leg will stay like that. But you'll try to send your bottom leg out longer. It doesn't have to be completely straight, but maybe it can get fairly straight. And then your knee, your top knee, maybe you can get a little heavier. It might be floating, but just try to encourage it down a touch. So you might have to bring your right hip forwards a little bit. So if you're laying comfy on your pillow, you're here. If you're not laying comfy on a pillow of any kind, you can be up on the forearm, or you could put your head in your hand. Hand at the side. Just rotating the hips a little bit, and then maybe taking your right hand and just bringing it towards your right hip, maybe on top of the hip. Maybe that right hand can slide behind your back. Maybe it can find the outside of the left hip and touch your fingertips down towards your mat. Just a little shoulder. And then if you have your right hand somewhere behind you, just start to bring it back. Bring it back in front of you. We're going to be rolling onto our bellies. So if you're on a pillow, well, you could keep it there until you're on your tummy, or you could slide it out along the way. But whatever works for you, I want you to be flat on your belly. And that right leg, it could stay in the same position it is, your half frog, as you rotate onto your belly. Half a frog. We're not going to stay here too long because, spoiler, we're going to do full frog later. But this is half frog. If you choose to do half frog later, you can do one leg at a time while some of us stay in full frog for a few moments. So we all know half frog. Okay. Let's roll back and all the way onto our right side. So unfortunately, I need to flip all the way around. Maybe you do too. So if you like the pillow under your side, grab it. If not, that's fine. That's completely fine. It's kind of under your side, kind of close to the hip. And then we can start with our knees nice and bent. Maybe straight out from the hips. Same with the feet going down from the legs instead of having the feet nice and close to the glutes. Maybe they're out a little bit further. And then you can decide, do you want to be on your forearm? Do you want to lay on your pillow or even just rest your head in your hand, whether you're laying on a pillow or not? Kind of comfy. And then you can decide, are your legs going to stay like this? Or maybe your top leg will. And then maybe your bottom leg will scooch a little further out long. Doesn't have to be completely straight, and maybe the left knee can keep tipping down. We're kind of bringing the left hip forward. It's kind of like you want to lay on your belly, but you're only going as far as you need to get that top knee to maybe touch down, so just so you can relax a little bit more. But once you're happy with where your legs are, the left hand might move to your hip, and then you're just kind of maybe lifting the chest back up a touch. The left hand, though, could come all the way to the floor behind you. Maybe you feel your shoulder, maybe a little twist. And if you have your left arm, your hand somewhere other than in front of you, you can start to bring it back. And then we can roll onto our bellies again. So maybe your left leg stays where it is. You slide it out a little further to the side. You're in your half frog. Maybe it requires a lot more movement than that. But if you are on a pillow of some kind, just move it out of the way, out from under you. And then half frog, just so you know where you might be going later. Laying on your belly, knee out to the side. When you're ready to come out of this, well, we don't have to roll all the way to the other side this time. So you could just slide your left leg back in. So you're on your belly. Your legs are out long behind you. Maybe you'll take a gentle rock of the hips side to side. And then let's bring our hands to our mats, kind of by the shoulders, so that we can push ourselves all the way up onto our knees and into tabletop. So you can spread your fingers wide, maybe give your hips a gentle rock side to side. We're going to come into a wide-armed puppy dog. So maybe your hands will be mat width apart, maybe on the edges of your mat. But you can start to reach your arms out. Maybe spread your fingers wide. Keep your hips high and then start to melt it down. Maybe your forehead can touch your mat. Maybe your chest can too. Maybe your chin. So you could stay with your hands out nice and wide. You're feeling good, a nice stretch through your shoulders, stay here. If you want to go deeper, You could bring your hands closer together and then see if you can bring your chest as low as you did when your hands were wide. Maybe you're resting on your forehead, maybe your chest, maybe your chin. But feeling a nice stretch through your arms, through your shoulders. Take just one more breath. And then let an inhale help you lift your chest. Bring your hands under your shoulders, or maybe you'd like to sit back on your heels or stand on your knees. You could also go into child's pose, maybe a few shoulder rolls. Do a few shoulder rolls in either direction if you're going for the shoulder rolls. Awesome work, you guys. All right, we're gonna set up our frog now. So, props make this so much better. So you can do your half frog. Again, I'll let you know when to switch sides. You might want to start with your right leg. If you want to try full frog and you've got some cushion to go under your knees, that makes this so much nicer. If you do not have actual cushions, towels, you can roll your mat a few times, like 3 times, 2 times. Give your cushion or give your knees some extra cushion. We're going to be bringing our knees out nice and wide though. So if you have a pillow that you want to lay on as well, you can have your pillow out in front as well. So let's start. I'll talk you through the full frog. You guys know the half frog already. You could start with your knees wide like child's pose, maybe a little wider than that. But instead of bringing your big toes together behind you, you're going to bring your feet as wide as your knees. So you can kind of, depending on how your cushions slide on your mat. So widen your knees, widen your feet until you feel a nice hip opener. You can keep your chest lifted. You can stay on your hands, a little bit more relaxing. If you have something to rest, maybe your forearms on so that you don't have to push into your hands, put any weight in the wrists. You might give your toes a little bit of a wiggle. You might even just see how your feet are rested on the ground. Maybe you're resting on the inner edges of the feet. Maybe not quite. But this gets so much better once we're here for a little bit of time. We give our body a chance to settle in. My half frogs, great place to be for the hips as well. I'll let you know when to switch sides. Wherever you happen to be, close your eyes if you haven't already. Breathe softly. You don't have to put any effort into your breath. But breathing and softening through the legs, the hips, at the same time. And then if you are doing one leg, you're doing your half frog, slowly start to come out And your right leg or your half frog leg back in behind you. And then you can switch sides when you're ready. You're in full frog. And you need to move. Something's not feeling quite right. You can move. Or maybe you're noticing that your knees are opening up a little bit wider. Your hips are getting used to the pose. Just finding your breath. You're feeling like staying just a little bit longer. Maybe take 3 more breaths. You're feeling like moving. You can start to move. You're coming out of a full frog right now. Take your time, move nice and slow. You're on your forearms. You might start to lift back up onto your hands so you can take some weight into the arms. Maybe shift forwards just a touch so that you can move your feet back together a little. And then the knees, maybe. There's no really right way to come out a full frog. Whatever is the easiest for you. If you're on your belly coming out of half frog, you can stay there. If you're coming out of full frog, you might want to bring your knees together. If you don't want to sit back on your heels, you can come to a seated position. Let the knees kind of come back together a little bit. Just take a moment to notice how your body feels right now. And move a little bit here, or you can just be still. And if you're on your belly right now, you can stay there. And if you're not on your belly, we're going to lay down onto our tummies. And once you are there, we're going to be bringing our right cheek first to our mat. And maybe you can bring your chin a little closer to your left shoulder. Your arms might rest at your sides. Your palms could face up. Your palms could face down. But just a gentle stretch for the neck. Maybe instead of your cheek, you're resting on your ear. Maybe your chin is actually touching your left shoulder. But just take a moment. We're just gonna switch to our other cheek, or maybe it's your other ear. Maybe your chin gets a little closer towards your shoulder. And just relax your body. You can slowly start to lift back up. Maybe moving your hands, stacking your palms on top of one another so that you can rest your forehead. You are feeling good to move onto your back. You might be rolling over. You might be flipping around. Make your way onto your back. And if you have something that could go underneath your low back or your hips, you can add that in. We will have our knees bent and our feet planted. So this might be more of a supported bridge if you have something to place under your hips. You can have your knees bent, your feet planted, even if you don't have anything underneath your hips. But just laying on your back. Keep your feet planted, or you can cross your right foot over top of your left quad. You want your hips on your mats or your hips on your pillow still. That is up to you. I'm going to keep my left foot down though. This is kind of a figure 4 variation. So your left foot might stay down, and then you could think about the right knee instead and just letting it move away from the chest. You might push with your fingertip just to guide it away from your upper body. And it might keep moving away from your upper body, out of reach. You might kind of use your right foot on your quad as just a little bit of leverage to move that knee away. And just relax your right leg completely. If you're putting some effort into moving the knee away, relax your leg. See if it comes back. And then we can uncross our legs. Plant your right foot. The left foot can start to lift. Rest on top of the quad. And then maybe you'll do that same thing on this side. See if the knee can move away from the chest. Make your 4 shape, or at least the top portion of your 4, a little flatter maybe. You can no longer touch the knee. You might just keep going a little bit. Use that left foot as leverage. Kind of press into the quad a little. See how your hips feel. And if you're putting some effort into your legs right now, just relax again. See if they come back to you. And then you can uncross your legs. Plant your left foot next to your right one. If you have your hips on a pillow, they can stay there a little longer. But you can also start to hug your knees towards your chest. You don't have to have a pillow under your hips. The feet might float. You can lift your legs up higher. If you want your hands to slide under your hips, you can do that too. Just taking all of the weight out of the feet. Maybe give your toes a bit of a wiggle. Relax your ankles completely. See how light you can get through your legs. You have your feet lifted up off of the ground. And slowly start to bring them back down. Take your time. Maybe bending the knees, keeping the feet floating for a moment. And then eventually touching your feet down. And if you have something under your hips, you can take it out. You could slide it down towards your feet, laying flat on your back. Maybe your feet are resting on your pillow now. You can start to add a few rocks side to side, massaging the low back. We'll be moving into a twist. Our knees will fall to the left side first. Maybe you have a pillow on your mat. See if your feet can come to the outside of it. Let your knees fall to the left. Reach your arms out wide, way down your shoulders. And letting an inhale. Bring your legs back up out of your twist. Connect your low back to your mat before you switch sides if you want to add a couple of rocks to the knees. Eventually your legs will fall to the right. You've got that pillow on your mat. Let your feet maybe come to the outside of it. Way down the shoulders. Close the eyes. Just notice your breath. Your next inhale, bring your legs up again. Out of your twist, maybe plant the feet or hug your knees in towards your chest. And a couple rocks side to side might feel good. And when you're ready to set up for Shavasana, and start to make your way there. Maybe you'll slide your pillow under your knees. Maybe you'll lay on one side. Just find your way into a comfy place for you. Maybe turning your palms to face up. Once again, just you and the breath. And slowly start to wiggle your fingers, your toes. Maybe reaching your arms above your head to take a big stretch. Bending your knees, rolling over. And finding your way up and into a comfy seat when you're ready. Your hands together in front of your heart if you'd like. Just one more deep breath in and out. Awesome practice, you guys. Thank you for joining me and the dogs today. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys very soon. Namaste.